From EBC Thailand Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris accused Beijing of coercion and intimidation in the hotly disputed South China Sea as she sought to rally allies against an increasingly aggressive China.
BRP Antonio Luna, the Philippine Navy's new guided missile frigate, has joined two Indian Navy ships in a maritime exercise at the West Philippine Sea Monday.
DOH confirms that there is Delta variant community transmission in the NCR and Calabarzon.
A layer of green foliage blankets a red tower in the heart of Singapore's business district, a feature that helps keeps the building cool as the densely populated tropical city battles rising temperatures.
First in our program, Vice President Kamala Harris vowed enduring engagement in Asia, offering reassurances of Washington's commitment to the region even as the U.S. completes its chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Taliban takeover. The Biden administration is facing mounting criticism over the handling of the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan. During the joint press conference held by U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, the Vice President was asked what went wrong with the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Take a look.
American citizens are still stuck without safe passage. I understand that you agree with the decision to withdraw, but in your assessment, what went wrong with the withdrawal? And I have a question for the Prime Minister as well. We understand you have offered help with evacuations, sir, but does the fall of Afghanistan 20 years after the U.S. started military operations there to drive out the Taliban, does that change your calculus and on how you can rely on America as a partner in this region, both militarily and economically? Does that impact the credibility of America's foreign policy promises?
So I understand and appreciate why you asked the question, and I think there's going to be plenty of time to analyze what has happened and what has taken place in the context of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. But right now we are singularly focused on evacuating American citizens, Afghans who worked with us, and Afghans who are vulnerable, including women and children. And that is our singular focus at this time, understanding that we have a priority in making sure that the people that in particular helped America achieve its responsibilities in terms of our priorities and the reason we went to Afghanistan in the first place. But there's no question that what many of us have seen on television, as the President has said, I mean, the President has, I think, shown great emotion in expressing sadness about some of the images we have seen. But we cannot be in any way distracted in any way from what must be our primary mission right now, which is evacuating people from that region who deserve to be evacuated.
I think I already addressed the point you raised in my earlier remarks, because we are watching what's happening in Afghanistan on the TV screens today, but what will influence perceptions of U.S. resolve and commitment to the region will be what the U.S. does going forward, how it repositions itself in the region, how it engages its broad range of friends and partners and allies in the region, and how it continues the fight against terrorism. Countries make calculations and take positions, and they have to make recalculations and adjust their positions from time to time. Sometimes it can be done smoothly, sometimes there are hiccups, sometimes there's things go awry and take time to put right. But countries remain with long-term interests, with long-term partners, and is the mark of a country which can succeed, that it takes these interests and partners seriously and in a dispassionate way and maintains them over the long term. And the US has been in the region since the war, which is more than 70 years ago. There have been ups and downs, there have been difficult moments, there have also been, over decades, dramatic transformations in Asia, wrought by the benign and constructive influence of the United States as a regional guarantor of security and supporter of prosperity. And Singapore hopes and works on the basis that the US will continue to play that role and continue to engage the region for many more years to come.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris accused Beijing on Tuesday of coercion and intimidation in the hotly disputed South China Sea as she sought to rally allies against an increasingly assertive China. Beijing continues to coerce, to intimidate, and to make claims to the vast majority of the South China Sea, she said in a speech in Singapore laying out her administration's foreign policy goals for Asia. Beijing's actions continue to undermine the rules-based order and threaten the sovereignty of nations. The United States stands with our allies and partners in the face of these threats. And as we heard earlier, she also defended President Joe Biden's decision to push ahead with the U.S. pullout from Afghanistan as courageous and right, and reiterated U.S. officials were laser focused on the chaotic evacuation from Kabul airport. After wrapping her visit to Singapore Tuesday, Harris heads to Vietnam.
In other news, BRP Antonio Luna and the Philippine Navy's new guided missile frigate has joined 2 Indian Navy ships in a maritime exercise at the West Philippine Sea on Monday. The BRP Antonio Luna guided missile destroyer, INS Ranvi J, D-55, and guided missile corvette INS Cora performed several operational maneuvers off the northwestern coast of Palawan. Naval Forces West, or NFW, Acting Commander Marine Colonel Antonio Manguroban Jr. in a statement said both navies were very much satisfied with the outcome of these interactions that focus on enhanced interoperability and collaboration. The Indian Navy ships were deployed to improve maritime security coordination with further nations, or partner nations rather, such as the Philippines, which India has had a long-standing relationship for 72 years. Since 1998, regular visits by Indian Navy vessels to the Philippines have highlighted the 2 maritime nation states' defense cooperation.
In other news, the last surviving senior Khmer Rouge leader denies responsibility for genocide committed for more than 40 years ago in Cambodia, insisting that his sole wish was for the country's sovereignty. Take a look.
វាសំខាន់ណាស់ចំពោះខ្ញុំជំរាបអស់លោកជាពិសេសជំរាបប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាថាមិនដែលពេលណាខ្ញុំនឹកឃើញចង់ប្រព្រឹត្តអក្រិតកម្មប្រឆាំងនឹងបងប្អូនរួមជាតិឯងនោះទេទោះបីអស់លោកសម្រាប់យ៉ាងណាក៏ដោយខ្ញុំនឹងត្រូវស្លាប់នៅក្នុងគុកខ្ញុំស្លាប់ទៅដោយចងចាំជានិច្ចទុក្ខសោកវេទនារបស់ប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាខ្ញុំស្លាប់ទៅដោយសង្កេតឃើញថា ខ្ញុំម្នាក់ឯងចំពោះមុខអស់លោកត្រូវបានគេកាត់ទោសជានិមិត្តរូបជាជាងតាមអង្គើប្រព្រឹត្តជាក់ស្ដែងរបស់ខ្ញុំក្នុងឋានៈជាបុគ្គលនោះទេ
Under the ultra-Maoist Khmer Rouge regime led by brother number 1, Pol Pot, some 2 million Cambodians died from overwork, starvation, and mass executions from 1975 to 1979. Q Sampan, one of the secretive regime's few public faces, was sentenced in 2018 by a UN-backed court to life in prison for genocide committed against ethnic minority Vietnamese. But his lawmakers have argued since Monday in day-long appeal hearings that the tribunal had taken a selective approach to witness testimony to convict him. Q Sampan claimed he was not part of killing machine that exterminated nearly a quarter of Cambodia's population, rejecting in forceful closing statements the label of murderer. But the court sentenced him to life in prison alongside brother number 2, Nuon Chea, who died in 2019, for genocide and a litany of other crimes, including forced marriages and rapes.
And the Thai government has secured the option to switch to AstraZeneca's new vaccine candidate. According to Thai PBS World, it's said to provide additional protection against new variants. We have more details from Diomerl Baldo joining us live from ABC Thailand Bureau. Hello, Diomerl.
Hello, Alma. Yes, that is true. Thailand ensured the option of using AstraZeneca's new vaccine candidate, which was tested to be more effective against emerging variants of the SARS-CoV-2, announced the government spokesperson Anucha Burapachasdi. This new vaccine is currently under development, but rollout contract is expected to be finalized by September of this year. AstraZeneca has confirmed during a meeting teleconference with Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha that it will exert more effort on delivering the vaccine of public demand and will aim to send the remaining doses by the end of this year. AstraZeneca's vaccines manufactured by Siam Bioscience in Thailand were the main COVID-19 vaccine for the country since it began the inoculation campaign in the late February. It can be recalled that last month, AstraZeneca has asked the government extension in the delivery timeline of 61 million doses of its COVID-19 vaccine by 5 months. A move likely to further disrupt the country's sluggish vaccine rollout. Currently, health statistics report that about 9% of Thailand's 66 million people have been fully vaccinated. Thailand government is bound to order additional 60 million doses the AstraZeneca next. Siam Biosciences was awarded a license by AstraZeneca last year to be a regional production hub, supplying 8 other countries despite having no experience in manufacturing the vaccines. It was earlier announced that Thailand, however, will impose limits on exports of the locally produced AstraZeneca vaccine because the country doesn't have enough supply for its own needs. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much, Diomerl, for your update. Please stay safe.
You too, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. I am Diomerl Baldo. We live in interesting times.
Now staying in the country, Thailand preps for safe reopening to foreign arrivals. We have Gladys Penuela for this update. Hi, Gladys.
Hello, Esther. A smart control in living with COVID-19 is an approved guideline that focuses on curbing the spread of the COVID-19 in Thailand for its safekeeping reopening. This involves giving vaccines to the maximum number of all who are at risk, free COVID-19 tests, developing a new vaccines with strictly following health protocols, and a rapid response mobile teams will be performing active visits to each residence in Bangkok in its nearby provinces in a proposal to have international disease control checkpoints by the land, sea, and air. According to Dr. Opar, the Disease Control Department Director General, quote, We will now have to learn to live with COVID-19 with the knowledge that COVID will be an endemic disease. This has been come up as Thailand's COVID-19 outbreak is evidently decelerating. He also mentioned that a bubble seal or bubble in seal method will be carried out for factories. If more than 10% of workers in a factory are found infected, these people will be isolated in a field hospital while others can continue to work, but they need to stay at workplace for 28 days before heading to their families. Therefore, the factories will not be closed for the reason, and the people who are not infected will still get paid. The CCSA will start assessing the situation of the country in September, especially the provinces under dark red zones, if the continuation of lockdown measure is still applicable or can be lifted. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Gladys, for all your updates. Please stay safe there in Bangkok.
You too. And here from Thailand, Gladys Pinola reporting. We live in interesting times.
Okay, we have breaking news coming in. We have to toss you to Laila Tumanan for some breaking news to our other studio. Laila, please come in.